Types of resources. Why would I be starting with this? Types of resources in a class about cultural geography. In other words, human beings. Well, remember, we live on Earth. We don't live on Mars or Venus. And it is this Earth that we live on that gives us our air, our water, our food, the materials we use to build our structures with, the things that we use to propel our cars. In fact, the materials that we use to build the cars. This all comes from the planet Earth. So Earth has an impact on us, and it imprints its nature on us. And we, at the same time, as human beings, because of what we are, we also have an impact on the planet, and we imprint our stamp on the planet. If you recall, back in March and April of 2020, when the pandemic really started rolling in the United States, and there was a lot of shutdowns in the United States, you probably remember that the air cleared up because we were driving a lot less. There started to be animals running around, at least in my neighborhood, coyotes going down the street and skunks and raccoons going all over the place, running down the street. I was joking with my wife, I was waiting for a deer to go running down our street. But then after a couple months, things started to begin to go back to normal. And as that happened, of course, that receded and our imprint on the planet became more obvious once again. But you can see that the planet itself began to retake its zone relatively quickly when we pulled back. So it is the planet that gives us our resources that we as human beings utilize. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense that we would start by looking at them. Let's make a quick list of resources. Now, if we were in the classroom, I would say, give me a list of some resources. And you guys would say this or that or the other thing, right? Since you're not there, I have to play your role. I am taking your part. So Bill Corder becomes the entire class. So here's a list. Oil, coal, natural gas, iron ore, bauxite. You make aluminum out of bauxite. Copper, gold, tin, sand. Sand is one of the most utilized resources in the world. In fact, believe it or not, we are having to manufacture sand because we are running out of it. You know what you use sand for? That's a question for you. Cement. Limestone, also used for cement and building, making steel. Clay, granite. You have those countertops? Marble, soil, of course, animals, wood, water, wind, the sun, uranium. All of these things are resources. One of the primary uses of resources, at least for human beings, is for power. Now, you could say that plants are also doing this because they absorb sunlight, right? And when they absorb sunlight, that kind of gives them energy. They convert that through the photosynthetic process into themselves. But we as human beings really search around for resources to generate power. There are two basic types of power. Animate power. The first part of that word, anima, comes from Latin. It means soul. So you can see where this is going, that it means something living. So animate power is energy supplied by animals or humans, living animals or humans. And inanimate power, that's energy supplied by machines through the use of natural resources, including formerly animate resources. So you could see in one photograph, there's a guy using oxen to plow a field. And then in this second photograph, you can see that this is a huge tractor plowing the field. Animate versus inanimate power. So we also classify resources in two ways. Non-renewable or finite, finite means limited resources. These are either something that renews at a very slow rate over millennia, that means thousands of years or even millions of years, or they're not replaceable at all. And once they're used, they're gone. And renewable resources. These are continually replaced, meaning that basically they're unlimited. Back to that list that you and I made. There's the list. Take a look at it. You tell me which of these are non-renewable finite and which of these are renewable. And there may be a little bit of overlap. Sometimes there is. Take a look at it. You tell me. Okay, raise your hand. You in the back. Good. Did you guys hear that? So there's a bridge. to extend the lifetime of non-renewable resources. And you already know it because you learned it in 5th grade. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Look, this has nothing to do with politics, okay? So please just get that out. I'm describing facts. That's it. When people look at something like what I'm describing right now and they politicize it, that's because of control or manipulation or money. I'm just describing facts. The sky is blue. There's nothing political about this, okay? Sometimes, of course, it's not because of pollution or clouds, but you get the idea. So by reducing, reusing, and recycling, we can extend the lifetime of non-renewable resources. Now, the source of the resource might be factored in. Where does it come from? How is it extracted? How is it converted to usage? What's the impact of this? How is it transported? How is it used? These things might really matter. I mean, just think about uranium. That was one of the things, right? Which makes nuclear. You saw that. I converted them on the slides. So if that's the case, well, you can generate power with uranium. You can also make bombs. That may not be a good thing. The University of Michigan has this really cool thing on part of their website, and I'm going to use some of the material that they've got and sort of lifting it. This is one of them. Every American born will need 3.19 million pounds of minerals, metals, and fuels in their lifetime. I mean, look at some of this stuff here. 953 pounds of lead, 330,000 pounds of coal. Did you know you're going to use that much coal? That much barbecue? No, it's not that, of course. It's for electricity. 30,000 pounds of salt, 14,000 pounds of phosphate. Phosphates are used for detergents. 75,000 gallons of petroleum, gasoline. Wow, it's going to be expensive. And so on.